And good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Shed Adventures. Well, what are we going to talk about today? We had a look around the shed, and we had an incident in the village actually, and a very dear friend of ours fell over and broke their hip. So we had a very old lady lying in the middle of the village road with a broken hip, and it was really interesting to see how various people reacted, and we had the whole range of panic, right down to someone who was a British Airways cabin crew and had just come back from Heathrow, having finished their first aid training. Well, wow, how good is that? So we had the full range of people then. It was very interesting to see how people dealt with that situation. And the other interesting thing was the various bits of first aid kit that people pulled out of cars, and the special drawer in the kitchen that has the first aid kit and a pair of pliers and fuses, all sorts of stuff. Interestingly, a lot of it was way out of date. Hold my hand up there. A lot of it was very expensive and of not a lot of use. So I thought what I'd do is talk about first aid kit today. So I had a wander around Shed HQ and came up with this huge collection of first aid kits. Why so many? Well, we undertake, when we do go out and have real adventures out in the real world, many things. We are sailing, we are climbing, we are canoeing, we're driving cars, and everything actually requires something slightly different. We're all driven by weight generally, or bulk, so you want to keep things down. We could just take this whole lot with us and go, oh, I've got everything. But we've got to be sensible and realistic, and this, very small, very nice, it's not waterproof, so probably not very good throwing it in the bottom of my canoe where it's going to be sloshing around with water. This waterproof bottle, from an expedition to the Antarctic in 94, 95, so there'll be some out of date stuff in there, is great. Totally waterproof, you can bang it about, and I chuck this in the bottom of the canoe every time we go out. Maybe not quite a first aid kit. Now, is it a first aid kit, or is it a medical box or medical equipment or something a bit more? I don't know. I think it all depends on size and what you have in it. But we're not going to really go into the detail of how you use this stuff. Maybe we will in another video, and we can start talking about breathing, bleeding, breaks and burns, and all these lovely old mnemonics that the army drilled into you when you rush up and you've got all these casualties lying in front of you, and they want to teach you which one you have to treat first. Always do the breathing first, followed by bleeding. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say that all of these are really good. Walk down to Boots, pop into any car accessory shop, and you'll actually get a very good basic first aid kit. But the word is basic, and what I would encourage you to think about is how you can add, without adding too much weight, too much bulk, how you can turn a very basic first aid kit into something a little bit more usable. I mean, if we just take this is just the sort of thing you may take out on a day walk. Really, it's sticking plasters and a few bits and bobs for a cut on your finger or whatever, which is fine, but you've got room in here. You could add so much more and make it so much better than it is. So I've listed down here a few things that I recommend, that if you have a little kit like this, or even something a little bigger, for not a lot of money, not a lot of time, not a lot of effort, you can really upgrade it to something that's a bit more useful. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I'll flip open this kit, which is what actually lives in the shed. and these I've put in there. Scissors. So what do you see when today you'll see a video of a Ukrainian soldier? What do you see if you see an army medic in Iraq, or actually soldiers these days? What you'll see stuffed down the front of their armoured jacket isn't a bayonet, isn't more ammunition, isn't a hand grenade. Actually, you'll generally see, if they're good soldiers and good medic, you'll see a pair of scissors stuck in there. Why? Well, the first thing when you've got someone lying on the floor telling you that their leg really hurts or their arm really hurts is, of course, it's all covered in clothing. And if you do have even a minor break in your arm, I've broken this collarbone, it hurts and you do not want to move it. But you don't know as a first aider what's going on here. You don't know if there's a bone sticking out. You probably know if there's serious bleeding because it's coming through the clothing. But the last thing someone wants to do is try and get a broken arm out of a great big hoodie. And that's why all these real combat veterans, people who know about first aid, the first thing they've got stuck in the front of their flak jacket is a pair of medical scissors. I've probably got a pair in this big kit here, a pair. We'll have a look. Oh, there we are. They're the ones, so you can't cut the person. So they have the little... You've seen these before, and you'll see lots of people with these stuck down the front of their jacket. So the first thing you do when you come up to a casualty, particularly in the military, they like to have a gunshot wound or a break or something, is you've got to find out what's going on. So you can talk to them. Yeah, I've been shot. Okay, in the arm. Right, that's helpful. But now you've got to treat it, and you've got to get to it. So the very first thing is snip, 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 snip. You've got to get to that wound. Whether you're going to put a tourniquet on it, whether you're going to do something else, you've got to get there. And that's even for this, for this lady that fell over on the road. It hurts, right? What hurts? Where's it hurt? Can we get to it? Is there bleeding? First thing we rang the ambulance. Is it bleeding? Because breathing, we know. I said she was conscious and she was talking. The first question before I could say there's no bleeding, is there any bleeding? Because bleeding and breathing are two things that will kill you in minutes, potentially. So, scissors. Don't weigh very much. Get a pair from Boots. But if you stick those in your tiny little first aid kit, suddenly you've moved it up a level. A few basic medicines that now start to sort of move away from first aid, but they're so useful. Paracetamol. We've all got it at home, I'm sure, in a drawer. If you've got a headache, when I went to the hospital with a broken collarbone, they said, "Oh, we'll let the doctor examine you, then we'll give you some painkillers." Stupid me, I don't know. I thought they'd put me on it hurt. I thought they'd put me on a drip, pump me full of morphine or codeine or something, or no, little pot with 2 paracetamol in it. But you forget how strong paracetamol is. It's why you're only allowed to buy, a couple of, one item of paracetamol at the supermarket, because for something that is freely available, it is quite powerful. So if someone's got a throbbing headache, if someone has fallen over and done something and you're there, if you don't need packets of it, you just need 4. Just cut 4 out of the little silver packet, and again, put that in something as small as that. 4 little tablets, weigh nothing, take up no room, and you've moved life up a lot. Now, again, I want to talk about adapting things to the real world, which is where we always talk about in Shed Adventures HQ, the real world, not the theoretical world. Antihistamine tablets. Now, particularly if you're going out walking, if you're going out with some children or some teenagers, people get bites, people get allergic reactions. Just take some antihistamine tablets, readily available, and they work wonders if someone suddenly is struggling with some sort of allergy. Again, you only need 1 dose. You only need whatever the dose is, 2 tablets. Maybe just pack 4 for fun. But you don't need many. No room, no weight. But again, I've got someone over there who's difficulty in breathing, and they've come up in a rash, and we think they've been bitten by a wasp and they're having an allergic reaction, just give them a couple of antihistamine tablets. It may not help. It can do pretty much no harm. Antiseptic cream. A bit of my favourite, Germaline. Absolutely love that stuff. Get a tiny little sachet of it and just stick it in there. You get a cut, clean it out with some water, and just put a little bit of antiseptic cream on it. Germaline actually has a little painkiller in there. Although it might sting initially, it actually is quite good. And then you can bandage it up, and it's just moved it up another layer in terms of capability. Here's an interesting one. Diarrhea. I've probably got some in here. So again, specific first aid equipment. Comes in little sachets. Oh, there's one, I think. No, antiseptic wipe, but comes in a little sachet. What is it? And why would I have Diarrhea? Well, if I was doing anything with sailing or canoeing where people are going to get seasick or a lot of vomiting involved, even in the car if someone is travel sick, on a sailing trip you could be out for 12, 24, 48 hours just around, around the channel and home waters. So someone could be throwing up for 8 hours. They will be completely dehydrated, and this gets quite serious and quite dangerous. You might be heading for port with seasick people. What can you do about it? Well, if you can get some water inside them, good, but they're throwing out an awful lot of urgent salts and various bits and pieces, which they just won't get back into their bodies. So that's just why they've got headaches and they feel completely drained. If you can get some Diarrhea inside them, it has all the salts and minerals to help them feel better and help them to recover from their dehydration. And it's good if you've got sunburn. Sunburn is normally also related to, in some aspects of being dehydrated. So some Diarrhea, get it in some water, get it down the neck. So again, a tiny sachet or two. Doesn't take much to fit in. The other, there we go. It would fit in there. What is it? Silver foil blanket. Good old-fashioned space blanket. What's the first thing that happens, or one of the major checks that you do? Obviously breathing, obviously bleeding, breaks and burns. You do all that, and then you start looking at people's vital signs. If someone has had an injury, the first thing you need to treat for is shock, because doesn't matter what it is, small child, even an adult. The lady who'd fallen over her dog and broken her hip, she was going into shock. And one of the first things you need to do, you need lots of reassurance, but you need to keep them warm. What have you got? Well, the answer is for no size, for no weight, you can upgrade this tiny first aid kit now. You can pull out a huge silver blanket and wrap them up, and that's what we did for this lady. We wrapped her up in a big silver blanket, or three of them actually, and you could almost see her instantaneously, the warmth soaking in. We stuck a hot water bottle up a jumper as well, but that doesn't matter. We could then keep the warmth in with a lovely space blanket. So, pincers. Little pair of pincers. Why? Again, fit in there. Weighs absolutely nothing. But again, you're out walking. You're walking through the woods. You're with the children. We've all had it. We've all got a thorn in our fingers. It really hurts, and it really niggles, and it can ruin your day. And you can see it, and hopefully you might have someone with some nice big fingernails, and you just can't get hold of this damn thing. Pincers are fabulous. Lots of uses, but just something that you can pull out a thorn, a little bit of antiseptic cream on it, and a plaster. Job done. And everyone's having a wonderful, happy day, all for the sake of something as light and as cheap and cheerful as that. And again, all the stuff I'm talking about would fit in this tiny first aid kit I've got here. Might be getting a wee bit heavy, but you'll be the chap who's very popular and has got it all. And finally, again, you can put this stuff in here. You can take it out depending on what you're doing. Thing called compies, blister plasters. So you go for a walk. You're doing a charity walk. Grab your little first aid kit. but maybe from a bigger box where you've got other things. Obviously blisters. Two things that I get for blisters: blister plasters. I would also get magnesium white tape. If you've ever seen, I don't know, Who Dares Wins or any SAS people doing their training, their feet are covered in zinc oxide white tape. What causes blisters? Friction. So the first thing you need to do is get rid of the friction and get something bandaged up, and you can just wrap white zinc tape around your feet, and you will be a lot better if you're still have another 10 miles to go down the Thames Pathway for your charity walk. So that's it really. There are just a few small things: scissors, paracetamol, antihistamine, antiseptic creams. Oh, the other one I forgot is a couple of tablets of ibuprofen. Again, you're doing your walking, you're doing your sailing, you twist something, you put a knee out of shape, you've got some joints that are a bit inflamed at the end of the day. Couple of ibuprofen, couple of paracetamol, big glass of water before you go to bed. You will feel a lot better in the morning. So yes, another little bit of medication that you can throw in again that will upgrade this first aid kit into something a little bit more expansive. So yes, so scissors, paracetamol, antihistamine, antiseptic cream, some ibuprofen, Diarrhea, space blanket, pincers and compies, blister plasters, or some nice zinc oxide tape, and there you go. That's what you need. Just out of interest, it might be worth having a quick look at the sort of things I carry. This is empty now. This is a hot pad. You take out the pad from its wrapper, shake it, and it becomes warm. It's a reaction with oxygen. Why is that empty? I was using that on this lady who was lying in the street with a broken hip and getting very, very cold. Put it on the back of her neck, one on each wrist where there's lots of blood, and she felt a lot warmer. So I need to replace that. Pincers we've spoken about. Diarrhea, there it is. That's all you need. No weight. That probably needs replacing and and bringing up to date. Gloves, again, pair of gloves in there. Good for you, good for the patients. All sort of diseases going around these days. That again weighs nothing. Slip one of those in there. First aid guide. Hopefully you've done a course, and I would recommend everyone going on a course. But again, a little first aid guide doesn't help. Lots and lots of waterproof assorted plasters. More gloves, more plasters. Here's an antiseptic cream. Here's an interesting one. Small dental first aid kit. When we're away sailing, again, 48 hours, you've got an issue with a tooth, worth having a go. Might just ease something, fill a cavity, something's fallen out, it will keep food out of it or getting anything, and it might just make the guy feel better. Anti-bites and anti-sting. Excellent stuff. Put that on, especially if you've got children. The other thing I didn't mention, which I'm a great believer in, because when I come back from climbing and walking and skiing adventures, I'm normally covered in crepe bandages. Take a couple of crepe bandages if you're going anywhere. You fall over and bang a wrist, you twist an ankle, you can bind it up with a crepe bandage, and it'll get you home. It really is a useful thing. Different scissors in here. Panadol, paracetamol, got all sorts of stuff. Tablets in here. Quells, so this is all for seasickness. So this is my sailing one. What's in there? Ibuprofen. It just goes on and on. Burns bandages, all sorts of bits and bobs. Triangular bandage and everything. So just an idea, just to get you thinking. take your standard first aid kit, and if you're going on an adventure for not a lot of money, you can upgrade it to something a little bit better. If anyone's got any bright ideas, if anyone's got any comments on things they would take, things they can't do without, and the final thing I would say, obviously personal medicines. If you as an individual have some issues, or anyone with you, make sure you take your personal medicines, which always seem to forget. You go on school trips and everyone's forgotten their inhalers and all the rest of it. But put that to one side. So you can take a basic kit that doesn't cost you a lot of money, and again, not spending a lot of money, pop down to Boots, the chemist or whatever, and you can just upgrade it and make it something so much better and so much more useful in the real world. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this very quick 20-minute chat through first aid kits. If you like today's episode, please give me a thumbs up, and I'd love, if you're a new viewer, to subscribe. It would be lovely to see you come back again, and it'll stop you missing next week's Shed Adventure. Lovely to talk to you all. Bye bye now.